Thank you,
People don't
Nick.
know that the Democrats is the party of the KKK.
Yep.
People don't know that the Republicans are the party that freed the slaves.
Yep.
Whenever I hear these two slogans, it makes me sick to my stomach. And I'm going to show you the reason why. Let's take the first one. Democrats are the party of the KKK, for example. One of the things I see is people in particular think that, especially in regards to this hate group, that they were the same throughout its whole existence. So what tended to happen is the original Klan, and I'm in full agreement. They were definitely Democrats, and it was created during the whole Democrat reign in the South. But again, the current acts, or rather the anti-KKK laws, those were the main reason that the first Klan was disbanded. And this is another look at each act and what they were called during that time. So now here's the interesting part. Did you catch this part earlier? It experienced multiple resurgences, notably in 1915, when it expanded beyond the South and adopted a broader agenda, right? To simply state one party over another houses racist individuals is kind of diabolical, would you think? Right here, what this says is the Coolidge campaign and the Klan campaign, they both merged and they were Republicans. Huh. And there's the date, 1924. Let's see if we can find some more. According to this, they said the Klan is a Republican Party bloc in Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, and other northern states. 1923, Klan backs Republicans. This is anti-Klansman versus Klansman. And yet, this is talking about Maine. And you see it says Republican, right? And I'll do one more just so I can show you how weird this whole slogan thing is. And this is just a continuation, just to show the different links that the current second iteration had with the Republican Party. But just in case people want to say it's just newspapers, let me show you something by John Hope Franklin. I just kind of wanted to show this because a lot of people always think of that, the Klan, as the main group. But as you can see in this middle paragraph, there's a lot more of these groups that a lot of people just don't even bring up during this time. But this covers right before Reconstruction, actually during it, to show, about that first, the wave of the Klan. Again, in this book, it also talks about the resurgence in 1950, which would have been the second Klan. And again, that Klan wasn't necessarily Democrat, but had people in both, as we just saw. So that's it for number one. And that's the reason why the first one doesn't really make sense to me, how you can point to another party, but historically they were in both parties. And I just showed a little bit, which I got plenty more, but I didn't want to make this a 50-minute video or an hour or so. But let's go ahead and hit that's number two. Republicans freed the slaves. And I like this one because this is one that a lot of people say and they keep saying over and over again. And I actually made a post, so let's take a look at this real quick. So I made this graphic to try to help people visualize what I'm about to tell you. During this time, the Republican Party had different factions. One of the factions were called the Radical Republicans. So now this picture right here, his name is Thaddeus Stevens, and he actually led the Radical Republicans. He was actually a congressman. So people always mention about Lincoln, but they don't really mention him for some reason, and here's why. So he was actually an abolitionist, and one of the things that he prided himself on was black rights, or he was fighting for the rights of black people. He's talking about the after effects of the Dred Scott case, as well as the implementation of the 14th Amendment. And in this section, he's talking about some of the stuff that's happening in the South and the need for protections. And this links back up into the Ku Klux Klan Acts of 1870 and 1869. So if you think about it, all of it's sort of like a circle. So each part is working with the other. So the first part, which was what was happening to black people. And then this is actually some people trying to correct that. And this, for you to read, is kind of the highlight. No matter what his race or color, every earthly being who has an immortal soul has equal rights to justice, honesty, and fair play with every other man or woman. I'll go ahead and throw that in there. And here's something else you can see when it's talking about the radical Republicans. So the information is there. It's just that when people mention this, they always say the Republicans as a whole and then condense the whole party like as if it was they all were doing the same thing. So right here is telling you about the faction, the radical Republicans, how they gain control of the party amongst everyone else. Explaining different types, we have Northern Conservative Republicans, Southern Conservative Democrat, and Radical Republicans in 1877. This is actually a good one. This goes over Republican Party as well as the Black Republican Party. Let's take a look. So before a lot of people get confused, when it says Black Republican Party, that did not mean Black people. What that meant is anyone that associated themselves with Black people or Black rights or equality for Black people were labeled Black. So they called them Black Republicans. So the radical Republicans were also called the Black Republicans. So this is something to read, and then they're going to go over their position and what they're fighting for. And you can see right there, they oppose the Dred Scott decision because it denies to be a citizen. So these are some of the things that they were fighting for. So I wanted to show one of these, especially when you look into Reconstruction and you learn a little bit about the radical Republicans and not the whole party. And before I get into the meat potatoes, let me show you something in 1866. And just one more proof that these were factions. It wasn't a whole party. So here's another proof that these were all factions. So this person said, I do not know whether I am to be termed a radical, a conservative, or a Democrat. Oh, and just in case, it's conservative Republicans. That's what the conservative meant, just in case someone tries to pull that. And this is a speech of Honorable Henry Wilson in 1866, which is very thought-provoking. And I'll go ahead and read some excerpts from this as well as show it. Have they forgotten that for 30 years on every issue before the country, the radicals have been vindicated by events and by the verdict of history? So as you read down, you can see his thoughts of conservatives and what they did not do versus what the radicals did for people and for society itself. So if you get a chance, it's actually a good read. And this is the Congressional Globe. And you can go and you can see everything that they had to say during that time, or some of the things they had to say. But it also show you that these were separate groups inside of the Republican Party, which leads me back to the beginning. So making a statement saying the Republican Party freed the slaves is sort of like a half-truth. Yes, you can attribute in saying that the side that had the radical Republicans was the party that helped or facilitated that, yes. But I can guarantee you that people are saying that are not radical Republicans. That faction pretty much died out a long time ago, and it's just a whole bunch of people taking the credit. So when you actually think about it, Black people coming out of slavery were going toward any faction or any political party that was trying to grant civil rights or human rights and federal protections or any kind of protections from what was going on in the South. So those are the reasons why me personally, I don't like these two slogans, and I don't think they're really well thought out. And they've been used for as long as I can remember. And I think at this point, they really just need to stop saying them because it's really idiotic, to be honest with you. Maybe that's just me, though. Peace.